offered the chance for some Nicolas Cagey goodness, you have no choice but to take the screening up on the offer. I knew nothing about The Surfer going into the screening tonight, other than it had to do with Nicolas Cage and a battle with some surfers. And boy, I don't know quite what I was expecting, but I don't think I was expecting what I got. So before I get too much deeper in here, the Letterboxd plot synopsis is below. Generally, we have a man, played by Nicolas Cage, who takes his son to a beach that turns out to be populated by a very territorial group of surfers, and he ends up getting into a conflict with said surfers. One thing leads to another, and things get trippy and psychedelic and violent at times. And this one was, for me, despite the fact that the film was doing a lot of telegraphing which way it was going, I did not know where this was going to end up. It kept me drifting and waving, and I couldn't predict ultimately what ended up happening. But ultimately, I don't know if I really understand fully where everything was at the end. I found myself reminded a lot of Head, the Monkees movie, watching this. That Head and Magic Christian. These are the two movies from the late 60s that I really, when I watched, I knew I was missing something. I knew I wasn't on the right page. Almost that I wasn't smart enough for those movies. And this is kind of where I ended up here. There's a very interesting through line about toxic masculinity. And there are moments in The Surfer that's very heavy-handed. But it really dives into a psychedelic weirdness that I found I definitely had a harder time wrapping my head around. But this, and before anything else, here is the cast. Nicolas Cage, of course. Julian McMahon, who honestly I did not particularly recognize. I was surprised. This is an Irish and Australian co-production. And I ended up with a very Hollywood-based reading on this film. So I'm really interested, especially to seek out some Australian critics and their opinions on this as this begins hitting. It looks like it's been hitting the festival circuit for a long, long time, and it's now starting to slowly premiere over the next month or so. Because this seems very rooted in Australia, very rooted in Australian culture. So I'd be interested to see how this is read in other places besides the United States. This, I was captivated by because it feels like, to me at least, a love letter to 1970s exploitation. We're talking the grimy, gritty, dirty kind of biker exploitation film years from like the mid 1970s. To give you an image, Julian McMahon's character in the movie, as I was watching this, you could have taken this exact same movie, drop it in, let's say 1976. The Julian McMahon character would be played by William Smith, and the Nicolas Cage character, let's say either Darren McGavin or Doug McClure. And very little would have had to have changed. This is a small scale, intimate film, but is it completely not afraid to get unhinged because, Nicolas Cage is in it, so of course. But it just likes to keep you on edge, likes to keep you on your toes. And even as it seems like things are taking shape and finding some clarity, then it enters with some almost psychedelic, not effects, but plot lines and visuals that really continue to allowing this movie to feel like a product not of its time. There are so many influences here, I would say, from like 1968 to 1976 that I felt like I was seeing. And it was really, as somebody who's been watching a lot of William Smith and a lot of kind of exploitation biker films and TV movies from this, the mid 70s, this jumped off the screen at me. Granted, I was on a different wavelength than some. I heard somebody having a conversation as I was getting out of the screening talking about the rich, sun-soaked visuals and how gorgeous and sunny it felt. I did not feel that as I was watching The Surfer. To me, this film felt hot. It felt uncomfortable. It felt grimy. It felt dirty. It felt uncomfortable in this fascinating way that, truthfully, really suits Nick Cage's star persona. And I almost feel like this is one that needs another watch just to get the minutia of the plot, because there's a lot going on in this story. At times I was wondering if there was time jumps. It's making a much larger point, I say without trying to dive into spoilers, looking at masculinity and paternal relationships and masculinity in contemporary culture. And there's so much going on here, but it's in the unhinged obscurity of the middle of the second act into the third. It's hard to say that I was completely getting everything the script was putting down. But if you like Nick Cage being Nick Cage, this is definitely one to check out. We are getting The Surfer in the United States May 2nd, I believe it was. I looked at IMDb and I feel like everybody's going to be getting this within the next month or so. So if you have not seen this one yet in your market, it should be coming soon. As always, my full written thoughts will be coming to Geek Girl Authority probably right around release. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here at Piercing Cinema. Have a good one, all.